Okay, so welcome back. Let's talk about making some profits this week on crude oil and natural gas. So if you stick around, you're going to get a comprehensive analysis on both. So we are sitting at the weekly chart here for oil. And what we'd always do is we want to go ahead and mark this up here now. So we're going to start this by marking this as weekly support. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and grab our weekly. We're going to work within a certain time frame. Okay. A weekly resistance. Okay. This is going to give you the opportunity to see these levels as you go through. And so these levels are going to be super, super important for you to follow along. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second. So the goal for me is that you can pause this video if needed and begin to mark up your charts as we moving along both of these symbols, both crude oil and natural gas. And here's an example why. This was a chart that I shared with our members last week. And again, some of the oil levels that we were looking for. And as you can see, we ended up with an extremely profitable week on crude oil because we understood the levels and we began to buy at these stronger support levels and go, this is part of the analysis that we give daily inside of our members area. So if you have not yet had a chance to do so, we would encourage you to check that out at theprofessortrades.com. Okay, so we are busting up the weekly support and resistance here. And now let's drop over to the daily chart. Now you can see here that this daily chart held very, very well as well. So when I begin to see this, what I like to do is kind of go back in and just modify this and let me know that this is both daily and weekly. And then, of course, daily and weekly. And again, if you are in the club, you do not need to worry. You are going to get all these charts sent to you. So now we understand we've got both daily and weekly resistance happening here. Okay. And just something that we want to keep in the back of our mind if you read some of the fundamentals that came out over the last 24 to 48 hours, specifically on crude oil. Morgan Stanley has decided to cut oil price forecasts amid rising supply and weakening demand. Now, that does not change what we are going to focus on, okay, because we are going to trade what we see, but you got to understand some of the fundamentals as prices moving. We may not get to certain levels based on some of the fundamentals as well. So now that we are on the daily, let's go ahead and also mark up some levels that are both support and resistance. And these are just going to be some of the key levels that you can see here acted as resistance, but also acted as support. So what we want to do here is we want to mark this as daily support and resistance levels. Okay. Because this will let you kind of understand that as price comes up to the 75.62 area, okay, what was once previous resistance turned support is also going to be previous resistance again as we approach this price point. Okay. So we have a pretty good working field here for the bigger time frames. And as we drop down in analysis, this is where we kind of begin to take a look at the different opportunities for day traders, for swing traders. So make sure that you follow along. And again, very important that you can mark up your charts as you are moving through here. Hey, if this is your first time here, let me tell you a little about who I am. I've been teaching college business courses for over 15 years, and I've been a trader and investor for over 8 years. And like so many traders and investors do at the beginning, I too struggled for many years. And so I finally turned it around when I got with the right mindset, when I got with the right mentorship, when I got with the right community. And that's part of my reason why now I am giving back and ended up building my own community to be able to give back and help others along the way. Now, my plan for you is very simple on this video when it comes to crude oil and natural gas. Number one is learn the key zones for each chart. And that's why I walk through it very slowly. Uh, Again, welcome. And I love to see all of our international folks that are here. I do my best to speak as slow as possible. And also subtitles will be available in over 20 languages. And then secondly is I just want you to feel better about your trading decisions. I just recently put a poll out in our YouTube community for last week, and over 60% of people are still struggling. So again, I want you to feel better, because if you understand the zones, if you understand the levels, and if you decide to invest in yourself and get into a healthy and prosperous community, you are going to see better results than just trying to do this on your own. So we have daily and support resistance levels here. Now let's drop over to the 8 hour and see if we see anything that would be out of whack or congruence that we would want to look at. So as I kind of move up here, we do see a little bit of resistance here. Nothing major. Um, I'm gonna mark this level up here just because of what transpired here, and here did not close. Okay, I'm gonna kind of mark this up as a 8 hour level. And I'm just going to put an 8 hour level for now, because I think we have to keep in mind that we have seen some resistance, okay, that happened here, and we had price drop. And then this was also a level of support. So when I see support and I see resistance, that is a level on that particular time frame that we cannot ignore as we are moving through price. Secondly, thing now is I want to go ahead and take a look at this lower level here. Same thing here. We had price react at this level here multiple times. So again, this is an 8 hour level. And the main reason for doing this is so that you do not get caught, okay, where you decide you are going to, for example, go long here, and then you don't realize, oh, we have a daily support and resistance level. You would need to wait for price to close above that level and possibly retest before you take that trade, if you are going to, try to make a smarter move and trade smarter. One of the key things that we focus on in our group, it's let's be smarter traders, not impulsive traders. Trading less has resulted in actually making more, because you're not making as many foolish mistakes as we all have done time and time again. So we definitely want to look at this level. So now this lets me know that, hey, on the 8 hour level, we have now closed above that level. So price closed at 74.91. So that's very important, because as we drop down to the 4 hour, we begin to look at certain things. And this is where we begin to look at our next nice weapon that we like to use a lot, which is those Fibonacci retracement tools. We begin to look for areas where price may see some type of rejection. So our scalpers can take advantage. Okay. And our swing traders can also maybe close some positions and maybe leave a small positions open for a runner, but you want to look at these levels. So now that we are approaching this level right in here, okay, we definitely have to keep in mind that we may see some type of resistance happening at that level. So important to kind of understand that as we're moving through, because again, you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of the trade. So let's go ahead now and take a look at these levels here. And again, what are we anticipating here? Well, number one is we got to understand that there is going to be possibly a gap on crude oil. So we will talk about that gap as we move in the smaller time frames. But for now, we have to understand that we are coming up to an 88.60 Fibonacci level, where we tend to see some types of reverses inside of crude oil. And then we also are approaching a strong daily and support resistance level. So as we drop to the 1 hour, and again, stick around for the natural gas analysis if you want that, or if you want to go directly to that, all these times will be timestamped down below. We begin to look at price action at this level here. Okay. Somebody in the community asked me, well, why do I use these circles? Because these circles allow me, and hopefully you, to focus in on an area. Okay. So we can definitely see here that we broke this lower time frame here, right? As we're moving here, we kind of broke this trend line. Okay. This was a great opportunity to, again, that's why we were buying from these lower levels last week, is, up here at these levels, breaking the trend line, retesting the trend line, and then price just took off from there as well. So a lot of different ways that you can trade this, and we show you all of these different ways in the community. So we are currently here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our gap situation. There has been some news this weekend. And so, again, just to kind of remind you, in case you are not 100% well versed on it, is that the gap is nothing more than the price difference between where price closes on a particular day and where it opens on a particular day. There's even gaps in between that 1 hour closure between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If price closes at one price and opens at another price, then that creates this gap. Now, gaps on crude oil back in the day would usually close fairly quickly. When I went back into my journal, I realized over 90% of the times it was closed within 24 hours. But over the past year, we've seen gaps remain longer. So understand that if you're going to trade the gap, you're going to have certain rules for the gap, and you have to under leverage your position, understanding that you might stay in that position for a few minutes, for a few hours, for even for a few days, and in worst case, less than 5% for over a week in that position. And again, we have certain rules that we use, and we actually trade the gaps live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday evenings. So if you join us today by 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will have access to that live feed inside of our own private community. So we're going to be looking to see what happens here. So let's go ahead and label this as the gap. Okay, so this is where the gap will be created if there is a gap. And usually when there's a gap, one or two things are going to happen. Number one is if we gap up, okay, in this scenario, and I'll turn this candle green, usually what happens when price opens, the difference of these two prices is the gap. Usually price will run away for a while to a pretty strong level. And then what happens eventually is price hits that level, and eventually we come back to close the gap. Now, vice versa. Let's say that we gap down and we'll turn that red. Same scenario usually happens. Usually the price gaps, it moves around for a little bit, usually runs away for a little bit, and then eventually we come back up to close the gap. But again, this gap could be open for a few minutes, a few hours, a few days. Normally, within 24 to 48 hours, we're seeing these gaps close, but it is not a guarantee. So again, we tell everyone under leverage, and we only take a crude oil gap if it's a 50-cent price difference or more. If not, we do not entertain the gap because, again, no reason to try to go into drawdown for a 10-cent gap that may then stay open for a day or two. If it's 50 cents or more price difference, then we enter now positions. We have a strategy. And again, we share all that on Sunday gap analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, but those are the scenarios for the gaps. And again, we will share this chart inside of the members area a little bit later today. So now we're looking to see a couple of things. Number one is if we get up back to this level, okay, how is price going to react at that level? Let's actually make it yellow. Okay. So we would need to see price close above this level. Okay. Above this level, and then come back to re-hit this level and take off if we're expecting price to go back up towards 77. Okay. If we do not get that closure on a 1 hour or higher time frame, then we should expect price to maybe reject up in this area and come right back down to this 8 hour level. So we are in between these two levels right now. And that's all really that you should be focused on. No matter if you're dropping to the 30-minute, the 15-minute, or the 5-minute, right? This is the area that you want to focus on. Now, what I like, and a lot of people do not do, is that even in these smaller time frames, you should be marking up these levels because again, we have now seen resistance here, here, and support level, right? So what I like to do is kind of mark this up at this level here and let me know. Okay, I like to turn this color usually to a, let's say, a yellow color. And then what I like to do is go here and just put a 15-minute level. And the reason why I do that is to let me know, hey, if I'm going to try to get into a sell here, I have to use caution. We've already rejected this level one time. Ideally, what I want is I want this candle, okay, to close below this level. Then I'm either looking for an impulsive move down, right? Or I'm looking for maybe a small retracement to then take a move down to a bigger level, okay? A bigger level. So these smaller levels are more like visuals because you may just want to hold off versus getting into a, for example, in this scenario, a sell scenario, because here I'm sure a lot of traders were trapped. They didn't realize that was previous resistance here turned support. They got into a sell here, and then price has moved up, not substantially, but has moved up 13 points or so. So again, it's important that you mark up these levels as you are moving through the charts. And again, pinch your chart, take a look at what's happening to the left. That's going to tell the story as well. Okay, just like here, you could have a case for we saw previous rejection here, and so you want to mark this up as a 15-minute level. Okay. Now, of course, these smaller levels are not going to have as much weight, okay, as the bigger levels. But again, I think that's why it's important for you to realize that these levels, though, if you're a scalper, means the world to you. If you're a swing trader, you can almost ignore these 10, 15-minute time frame levels because they're not going to do anything other than create a little bit of noise on the journey up or on the journey down. But if you're a scalper looking for 5, 10, 15, 20 pips, you got to understand that these lower levels play a role in your entry. And maybe that's where some of you have been struggling. You're not kind of putting attention to those smaller time frame levels. So I'm going to leave this chart kind of marked up right here. I'm going to get rid of these arrows for now because you can always go back and watch it. And I'm going to kind of conclude this before we start jumping into natural gas for giving you these overall picture and levels and possibilities with regards to crude oil. Okay. There is, again, some news that I heard came out this weekend that we may see a significant gap, okay, on crude oil. And again, we will trade those live. But again, use caution with crude oil. You never know, especially if there's a large gap. But at least now you are more prepared with these levels to begin to start trading and making money off of crude oil by targeting these levels, making sure that you see a closure above the E levels if you're going to continue in that direction. If we see resistance, we have to have that bearish or bullish engulfing candle to get us into a trade. And again, we have different things that we use with Fibonacci and SARS to be able to help our newer traders in the group as well. And again, we'll show you those things as we progress through the week. But for now, we've got our levels. I'll get rid of this Fibonacci level here. And again, as we are on the 1 hour time frame, do not forget to ignore these levels that are previous, okay, support and resistance levels, because again, these are important for you to understand as you are trading crude oil this week. Okay, so now we are going to start with natural gas, and I want to mark up again some of these levels here. This is the weekly, okay, level, and I'm just going to put weekly level for now on these things so that you understand that you are going to have levels of that could be either support or resistance on the weekly level right here. Okay. We also seen this level right here where we are currently at. Okay. Kind of reject. So this is a weekly level as well. And we are going to pinpoint this level to the top side. And again, if you're new to this, this will kind of make sense as we go through these smaller time frames as well. So we've got some weekly levels that have definitely shown those signs of support and resistance that we have to kind of keep in mind as we are moving through the charts here. Now, here are some key points that you need to keep in mind for natural gas. All right, our futures dropped about 5% this week. All right, due to some of that shifting weather forecast and rising storage concerns. All right, the EAI report larger than expected as well. Milder weather in key regions has cooled the demand for expectations. We know that when it starts getting very cold, the expectation and the need for natural gas goes up. But again, because of milder weather, we have not yet seen that. Okay. And then natural gas broke a critical support at 2.091, which means that we can possibly continue to slide lower to that $1.90, $1.82 level. And that's what we're going to be looking at here. And this is going to be, a kind of important issue right here as we look at this is going to be such a critical level, this 2.09 to this level that we're talking about. Because if we close the week, lower than this 2.09, then we are heading back down. So let's try to kind of go over here to this daily level here. Okay. And again, you can see here how the daily has held up. So not much more to add here other than a couple of levels to the bottom here, which is both support and resistance. So this is, we're going to mark this up as a daily level so that you have this for your chart. Okay, daily level. And so we're going to also mark the top side of a daily level, which has shown rejection and support on multiple levels here. So we're going to mark this here so you have it. Okay, so we're going to kind of work within these main levels right here. And if we drop to the 8 hour, let's see if we see anything that really sticks out. I would consider this, even though it's fairly close, yet not close. Let's mark this up as an 8 hour. I rather use caution, especially with natural gas. Okay, this one doesn't play. Okay, and everything else for now seems pretty good. Let's give you one more level up here in case we do break this level here. And we'll go right here. And this will be an 8 hour level right in here. Okay, so we have our levels set for the beginning of the week, so we can look to make some money on natural gas, depending on what's going to happen at some of these key levels here. And again, we're going to need to see if price is going to drop lower. We have to see that red candle, preferably on a 4 hour. Okay, preferably on a 4 hour to close below. And let's take a look at how that would look like. Okay, we're looking for something like this where we get a bearish engulfing candle to close, and then we're heading down to the next level. Okay, so this is kind of what we're looking for if price is going to retreat down to that 1.90 level. Okay, now right in here, since we are on the 4 hour chart, we cannot dismiss these wicks rejecting this area and then price going up. So let's go ahead and mark this up as a 4 hour level, because these levels or pivot points are so important. Okay, so important when playing the field here when it comes to natural gas. And then to the top side, we also cannot ignore this level, both support and resistance. And we're going to mark this up as a 4 hour level. Okay. So by doing this now, we have a better understanding about what needs to happen on a smaller time frame. We've got a 4 hour level here. We have a stronger level on the weekly. Remember that as you go deeper, okay, into the levels, okay, the higher time frame always wins. Okay. The higher time frame always wins. Hey, and by the way, if you are getting some value on this video, hit that like button. If you're brand new, subscribe, share this video, and join us at theprofessortrades.com. So we have that stronger weekly level here at the bottom. Okay, and then we've got that 4 hour level coming up here. Now, I do see some liquidity that is still unmet up here. We came down and we took out about 50% of this liquidity candle here. And so our price action is going to be very simple. And we're going to focus at the beginning of the week on these two levels right here, our weekly level and our 4 hour level. Let's keep it consistent. And let's turn these into yellow. And we're going to drop down to the 1 hour. Okay. So now we're going to wait to see what happens at this level. It seems like they may be coming up to retest this level. So we'll need to see what happens here. Again, you are looking at liquidity sitting up here. And if price is going to go up to take out that liquidity, then basically you need to start looking for moves like this, where you're getting closure above, retest, and then going up, kind of like this move here, right? There's that bullish candle right there, came back to retest, and then we took off. So you would be looking for that right over here. Okay. So I'm going to kind of put this here as a reference. You need to be looking for that over here if it's going to go higher. Okay. Now, if we begin to see rejection at this level, we are then going to look to take price right back down to the weekly level. Now, a couple of different ways that you can kind of play this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you this trend line right here on natural gas. If you get a closure below that trend line, then you're looking for price on the 1 hour to maybe retest that level. And let's make this a 1 hour level. Okay, 1 hour level, and then reject it up in this area and then come right back down. Okay, so those are really the only two scenarios. If we're gonna drop deeper into the 2.01 area, then again we still have to come down and invalidate the 2.09, 2.08 level. But we're not there yet. Let's focus on what we have here, so you can take advantage and make some money early in the week on natural gas as well. This is what we're looking for. We're either looking for more downside movement if we get the rejection of this area and possible trend line closure below. Okay. And I'm going to mark this here. Okay. Either one of these two levels, if we don't have that bullish engulfing candle, if we see price action with that uh, bearish engulfing candle, kind of like we did here, okay, bearish engulfing candle, retest, and then we had the drop. So we're kind of looking for this scenario right over here, okay, as well, okay, over here. Okay, so we're looking for this scenario to happen over here if we're going to take price back down. If we close up here, again, we're looking for this scenario to happen, and then they'll come up to take out the liquidity of those candles up there on natural gas. Okay, so I hope you got some value on today's video. We started with, looking to make some money with crude oil, and then we jumped into natural gas. Again, if you are brand new here, we do this every Sunday. So make sure that you join us, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out not only on the Sunday videos, but also on some of the midweek videos that I'll be putting out as well, and some live trading opportunities as well. Again, if you have not yet had an opportunity to join our community, definitely go down below to theprofessortrades.com. There's even a free chat group, as you saw earlier. You can join in there and just start asking some basic questions. We've got some traders in there, a great community of over 300 people in the free chat room. And then again, we have over 300 traders in the premium room as well. Come in for the value you're going to get. You are going to be amazed. I can promise you that. Have a great trading week. Don't forget to be kind to someone today. Don't forget to spend time with your family. And just as important, spending time with your faith. Whatever that faith is for you, understand that all of this is much bigger than us. This is just some profits that we're making along the journey, but we can't take it with us. But what we can take with us is our faith in our various religions and what we believe in. And so hopefully that can let you know that in the short time on physically here on earth means very little to what's possible at the next level. Have a great week and see you soon.